in this episode, we're going to be looking at sound mindfulness and what does that mean. So we've ascertained that when you silence the mind and your brain starts to relax, you get into a space of peace. Now, I've been looking at the research out there, and what I found was 676 million people have mental health issues in varying degrees. And what that does as well is it creates a vacuum in the workplace. So what we also have is £35 billion worth of work-related sickness every year worldwide. So my question would be, how come employers aren't doing more for their employees? Now, we do know that the NHS advocates mindfulness. There is a directive advocating mindfulness, and it's out there now in the workplace. And that's wonderful, having mindfulness and in that capacity. However, how do we achieve mindfulness if we have busy minds? So when I explained to you about using the tuning forks, especially the Om, the first tuning fork, the Om, and just listening, if you do nothing else with the tuning forks, listening is the most powerful tool that you can do to create mindfulness in your world. When you use the tuning forks, let's say for instance in nature, you can sit, listen to the fork, allow your mind to still, and then when you stop listening to the tuning fork, you can really hone in on the bird sound. You can hone in on the leaves, the breeze, the twigs. Everything will have a sound and it creates mindfulness. You can create mindfulness in anywhere you're sitting. Just stop. So the biggest thing that I feel the people are up against is silencing the mind. And so when you can achieve that in its simplicity form, i.e. strike a tuning fork and listen, you have a biological process that happens that allows the brainwaves to start to slow. From beta, the thinking brain, alpha, relaxing, theta, the most relaxing place that we can get whilst we're aware. So you are in the deepest place of relaxation, yet you have an awareness around you. And here is when the greatest healing occurs. Physiological healing. Your breathing will slow, your heart rate will slow, your blood pressure will decrease. And this is backed up by a study that I actually did quite a few years ago now. And I tested the blood pressure and pulse of 10 of my students on day 1 of a course I was teaching. And then I looked at them again day 5. And what I found, and it was quite astounding, the results, because what I found was people who had high blood pressure, it became low to normal limits. People with low pressure, it came up to normal limits. People with high pulse rate, it came down. People with low pulse rate, it came up. So really early on, using this system, this simple clear, cleanse, balance with three tuning forks, it showed me that the body stabilizes itself. And that then led me to do more research. So because I'm a nurse, I like to know how something works, or how something works with something else. So we talk about mindfulness and meditation. That's a really difficult concept to do if You're in pain, for instance. You ask anybody that's in pain to meditate, and the body is screeching, a crescendo of pain. It's like, how can I silence my mind when my parts of my body are talking to me in a way that I don't want it to? So what I did was I took volunteers. I had 15 volunteers with a total of 28 pains in total. So some had multiple pains. And they had worked, they had their pains from 3 weeks to 30 years. And all I did was I worked with the 528 tuning fork. And I did the taking out. So wherever their pain was, I took out of that place. So let's say it was the knees, I would take out, so counterclockwise, and then I would put back in, whilst getting them to get in touch with the pain in their body. So what did the pain feel? What did it maybe look like? Did it have a message for them? Because generally, if there's something going on in the body, it's the body's intelligent system just saying, will you just listen to me? Can you just wake up and maybe change the way you're eating? Change the way you're living, change the way you're sleeping, change the people you're hanging out with. And then when you address those issues, the body rights itself and becomes at peace with itself. So in the study, what I found was overall, we had nearly 80% pain relief within 30 minutes of tuning fork sound therapy. And that's not an isolated incident either. People can just take the 528 tuning fork and tune themselves. You know, whatever pain they may have in their body, they work with it, they release it, and then they put the sounds back in, and the pain usually goes. So what it showed me was that when people can release pain, they can then go into a mindful practice. And then they can start to work and heal from within. And this is what these episodes are about, is allowing people that maybe have no idea about sound therapy or sound healing, like I did 10 years ago, to come into and say, maybe there's something in this. Maybe there's one word or a couple of words that I say and it really strikes a chord within you. The best thing you can do is just create an intent that every day you will do some aspect of tuning fork sound therapy, even if it's the Om. Every day set your intent that you are going to have a better day today than you've ever had. And again, you can do that with the Om. This is sound mindfulness made really, really simple. So you can create a little area in your home or your bedroom or just somewhere really simple where you're going to be comfortable. It can even be in your comfy chair. It doesn't have to be any gimmicks or anything. You can light a candle if you want to set the intent. You can burn some incense if you want to set the intent. Yet it's not necessary. The biggest thing is that you sit there and you do it. And you take your tuning fork out of its little pouch and you strike it and you listen. And just allow the sound to permeate through your body. And this is simple. This is simple sound mindfulness. It allows you to be in the moment, which is what we want you to be, is in the moment, listening. Simply listening. And then you bring it to the other ear and you're simply listening. And that allows your mind to start to find peace. You find the thoughts just dissolve. And if a thought does come in, you just acknowledge it and then you let it go. So even if that is all you do for 10 to 15 minutes a day in your space, that will allow you and enable you to have a much different day, much more different day than you would have had you not done it. I created another research project. It was really, really important for me, and this was really in the early stages. I created some music which incorporated the Om and the solfeggio frequencies, which the 528 is one of them. So I got 50 volunteers, and I used a nursing document called an SF36. So I got them to fill out the form before the study, and then they listened to the music or the sounds for 28 days. And within that 28 days, they just kind of kept a little diary of how they were feeling and, what differences perhaps was made to them. What the study showed, after 28 days of listening to this piece of music for 25 minutes a day, all indicators of health improved. However, what was so exciting was that emotional health improved by 44.11%. So what it showed was, whether it's the fact that they relaxed for 25 minutes, or whether it was the music that allowed it to happen, or a connection to the both, which is what my feeling was, is their emotional health improved by 44.11%. Now, because of that, their physical health improved, because their mindset had changed, their mindfulness. So for 25 minutes a day, they became mindful of being still and mindful of being just time for them, because that is what people crave for, is just to have a little bit of time for themselves. So by doing the study, this allowed that to be, and the results really blew me away. In this episode, we've looked at how sound mindfulness works. We've looked at the research behind the studies, bringing into evidence how sound mindfulness works. Now, in the next episode, we're going to be looking at how we can combine tuning fork sound therapy with other modalities.